to the Black Ribbon Warrior podcast, where we are discussing our journey uh, through metastatic melanoma cancer. I am joined by my lovely bride,
Hello.
and wow, so we are in eight,
8.
week 8 of being in surveillance mode,
Yes.
and I can tell you bodily and mentally, I feel completely different. I have more energy. I still get tired, and eat a little. I still feel a little stuff in my knees. I'm finding that it's not just about the starches and all that stuff, but the shoes that I wear. I think we talked about it last week. Um, I've been doing a lot more walking. Um, and I mean, I'll go up and down the aisles in the grocery store just to walk. Not really to buy anything, but just to walk. And
But you're not a neighborhood walker necessarily. Like
yeah,
you're not that person who's going to be like, "Oh, I should go take a walk today." But if I drag you through store and store and store, you'll walk all of it.
yep. And most of the time when we go shopping, it's like to the grocery. We're hitting the outside of the store, and we'll run through some of the center aisles. But do you really need the baby food aisle? No. Do I walk down it? Yes. Why? Because it's an aisle, and that might be 50 steps that I wouldn't have taken, and the stuff on the shelves change.
Right.
So it's not like walking down the street and you're seeing the same thing until you turn the corner.
Right.
So
And as you talked last week, taking the dogs out, well, that used to be something you did every day. Um, Maybe you're just not feeling as strong to
yeah.
do that to handle Rex. Like he's just a bigger dog.
Well, and I kind of found where I have to like lit. So if I have his leash in my right hand, I have to walk him on my left side.
Yeah, you mentioned last week that you had to put that leash behind you.
Yeah, and that way he's pulling against my body and not against my arm,
Right.
which makes a big difference. So, um,
But the mile walk that you used to do with him isn't happening.
right, right, and on the lighter note, y'all are supposed to be keeping me honest, and a couple YouTube friends have been very encouraging. And as I'm feeling better, I got the tires pumped up on my bicycle. I pulled it out. I checked it. I mean, I'm going to need new tires because they're all dry rotted and kind of rough looking, and they're cracked and whatever. But they hold air. Contrary to what I believed, they will hold my fat butt. And
Do you still need a bigger seat?
well, I only rode a little bit, so I did get on the bike. I did ride it farther than the mailbox, which is just a two-car driveway, lengthwise. I actually rode it down to the stop sign down here, so it's about 100 yards.
Yeah, maybe.
Little over.
I don't know yards.
A football
It's like
field.
Yeah, that's 100 yards.
Yeah, I would say about that, and back. Now, what I didn't realize or kind of forgot maybe over the years or brain tumor that coming back is uphill.
Yeah, but coming back is harder. Anytime you're going uphill, it's going to be harder.
Yeah, I didn't realize that because I was just pedaling and
You're like, this is so easy.
and I was like, man, why?
This.
Yeah, this isn't so bad. But then when I turned around and I came back, man, and it's just a slow grade uphill.
I was gonna say it's not like a mountain hill.
No, it's just a slow,
It's just a
slow grade.
little nudge.
But it was enough for me to keep pushing with my legs, and I was like, whoa, whoa. So, but so that is a step in the right direction.
Yeah, and we just talked at dinner how I said make a plan. So
Yep.
we're gonna try to hit the Y.
So we're gonna have to set up like twice a week where we go to the Y and
At least to start with.
yep, and like go to the pool and walk in the warm pool and
Maybe ride
the
a
track,
recumbent bike.
something like that.
Get
So
you on some weightlifting. That's what your cardiologist wants anyway.
yep, she had mentioned that as long as I
So
wasn't sitting still for hours on end, which I have to get up and move.
well, and that was the first step. The first step
Yep.
was you increasing your walking, and you're doing that. So while you're a little more motivated and you feel good,
Yeah.
um, let's start with some basic arm workouts, like 5 pounds even.
And noticing Saturday, I was out all day. Um, Me and a couple buddies went to the flea market and walked around there. And I don't have a pedometer to know to keep track of steps. I don't worry about all that. But we walked and walked and walked and walked and walked. And then we went to a couple shops and had to walk from the a quarter mile or so from where we parked to the one shop and then back.
A quarter mile?
I don't know, the end of the block, the end of the city
Likely
block,
not a quarter mile.
whatever it was, 100 yards. I don't know. It's all the same when you're huffing and puffing. But
and I'm sure you all three were huffing and puffing, to be quite honest.
I was only worried about me. Nobody fell out, so.
Well, then it was a success.
Yeah, and then I'm helped move a couch out of the house onto the trailer, back to our house, offloaded it into the garage, had to move stuff in the garage to make it fit, and then I was like, well, I'll figure it out later. Later came as soon as Mom saw the couch and said, hey, I like that, come on in. So then we had to move stuff in the house to get ready for this thing to come in. So Saturday was a busy day.
Saturday was busy.
A lot of more activity than what I'm used to.
I mean, I know it took a brain tumor and all, and a whole cancer battle, and a battle we're still fighting, but it was kind of nice to be the strong one lifting the couch. I'm just gonna say.
Yep.
I was like, come on, come on. Normally that's you going, come on, lift it,
Yep.
go, walk.
And so Sunday then, I was tired, but not as tired as I am today.
Well, that after you travel, and I'm not saying we traveled, but after you travel, that first day back, you're like, okay, this is okay. The second and third day back, you're like, gosh, I'm so tired.
It's kind of like post jet lag. Well, okay, I don't.
Your walk.
Yeah, post walk lag.
I mean, you can call it whatever you want to call it.
But it's like when I felt okay yesterday. I was just a little tired, but then today I went and walked a little bit, but not a ton, just a little bit. And when I got home, I was ready for a nap.
He's yawning now, so he's gonna sleep good tonight again.
Yep, and I didn't take one. Instead, I got up and I was like, okay, I've got an appointment at 3:00, and so I need to keep moving. And so I went outside and started working. Change the wipers on the car, trying to change the tail light. That kind of little stuff that I was kind of putting off. So then it was time for my my appointment. I was interviewed on a YouTube show, and that was pretty cool. Some good friends of mine. And well, then the wife comes down and says, "Hey, what are you making for dinner?"
Yeah, that's part of that new stay-at-home dad thing.
So as I'm feeling better, that's I need to get back into that role of fixing dinner, and even if I don't know what I'm gonna fix, have something ready. And that's an achievable goal, but there's days where you just don't feel like it, and you're like, you're,
Maybe we should start with like 3 out of 5.
yeah, because there's
Two
days
out of
where I'm
five.
like, baby, I don't feel like it. You're getting sliced cheese and carrot sticks.
And I eat the cheese, and I'm happy.
Yep.
Or I make my own hamburger. As long as there's hamburgers in the fridge, I'll make a
Yep.
hamburger.
Burgers and
That's about the end of what I like to make, but I'll make a
we've
hamburger.
been keeping salad stuff around.
Yeah, I just get tired of salad.
Yeah. Yep.
I
But
mean, I like salad, but if somebody made me a salad and like had, and I know you make me a salad. I, I'm just saying, like, when you go somewhere and they have all the fixings
yeah.
and they make a big salad that's all the fixings, I like that kind of salad, but I don't want to get everything out and put everything in and then
So like
no.
so like was it last week or the week before I made a salad. That was our dinner. Was the night was that night was like chicken salad, or
It wasn't chicken salad. It was like
grilled chicken.
salad with chicken,
Yeah, grilled chicken on top of salad, and all the
and it
fixings.
was really good.
And then the next night I was like, well, that's the same thing you're having tonight. And she's like, no.
I didn't want a salad because I also had salad for lunch.
So, yep,
So we find a good thing and we eat it until I'm like, okay, now I'm done. That spurt's over. I need a new thing.
yep. So,
Anyway,
hmm. Anyway, yeah, that's enough of us rambling about our problems.
about stuff, just just stuff.
We did get word back that our one friend, um, her problem in her stomach was
It was melanoma. Um, they were waiting on the biopsy to see if it was the same type of melanoma. But the good part is it is all contained. The margins were clear. They removed it, and they don't think they will have to do any other treatment for that. However, they're thinking about, should we stay on this course of treatment? Should we go back to something we know worked really, really well? So they're in that phase of changing possibly her approach.
because she was 3 months behind me and doing the immunotherapy, but it seemed like that her body reacted better to the oral medication.
Right, the medication you both started on.
Right, right. Before we went to the injections. So it's just another way that the same cancer can be different per person.
Right.
And I don't know if she. We're not saying her name, so it's not like we're calling her out. But if she does listen to this, we're thinking of you. You know.
Yeah, her and I stay in fairly close contact through Facebook. Just checking in. We haven't seen anything going on. Are you okay? How's it doing? Um, so, we try. We try to keep in touch.
One of our new favorite restaurants, her daughter works at. So we.
Yeah. So we see her daughter a lot.
And then her daughter looks at us like, "Who is
I
this
tell
guy?
her
And why does
mom.
he know my mom?"
I sent a message and I said, so hey, if your daughter says these weird stalker people were in, it's us. Because we always wave and say hello, and she probably thinks we're some crazy stalkers at this point.
Yep. Like the one day I was like, "How's your mom?" And she's like,
Fine.
okay."
Good.
And then I had to kind of tell her who we were, kind of, and she was like, "Oh, okay, okay." Like she didn't have a clue.
But
But
she's a teenager, and that's how teenagers do it most of the time. And
yep,
this is hard on them, and you know,
yep. So uh, I had wrote down that we would talk about fundraising,
yeah,
but
we didn't do a lot. Like people did some for us,
no.
but we didn't do a lot. So
I mean, we had talked the one time
we talked.
because one of the things that I would do is I would always try to find ways to help out if somebody was doing something, and about the only thing I was really good at, other than causing mischief, was cooking. So I could do up some pork butts and whatever, and so when I was like, okay, well, let's try to do a fundraiser, and I was trying to come up with a way to do it, and we talked about doing like a black seasoning on pork butts because melanoma's ribbon is black.
Which you never can find in a store, and I'm kind of salty about it.
Everything's pink.
Everything's pink. Yep.
And so anyway, so we were talking about doing. I was talking about this, and she goes, "Are you gonna cook it?" And I was like, "I can't." And that was a hard thing for me to say. Was admitting that I can't do something, and so that kind of went by the wayside. We talked about, you could always you see people with T-shirts or stickers or whatever, where they're trying to sell them. We had little bracelets made up, and we just gave them away to people who were already supporting us, and whether they did it through the GoFundMe or through the YouTube stuff.
Or through meals, because we had a meal train, or whatever the case was. We tried to just send them bracelets. I think one day I sent out, I don't know, 50 bracelets.
Yep.
Um, and it's something little, something maybe to get more people on your side in
Yep.
a sense. Maybe even to bring that awareness, because we didn't have any signs that this is what we were doing. We didn't have any signs that you had melanoma. I mean, you didn't have any skin lesions. You didn't have any funky looking moles. All of the stuff they tell you to check for, you didn't have.
Right.
So if it could just even bring that conversation out into public, then that's a win.
Right.
So so we did that. We had the bracelets. We had GoFundmes that were set up by my sister and some of your cooking buddies. So that was super helpful. But that was really the only fundraising we did. And the more and more we looked at how to do fundraising, I was completely overwhelmed because I was doing everything else to take on that too. I didn't have the mind space to figure out how to do it, to start the process, how to let people know, how to advertise it in an effective way, because I was doing really all I could
And I was
to get that going.
in my mind space was a zombie.
Yeah. I mean, we've said that multiple times that you were not aware.
So
You thought you were aware. You thought you were aware of what was going on.
And it was.
And you thought you were capable of handling it because you could see it in the way you tried to interact and all that. But as you've noticed, as we've talked about all the steps of everything, you're like, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't remember that. When did that happen? And it's because you weren't there mentally to be part of it, even though you were sitting right beside me when all of it was being done. You just couldn't comprehend or multitask your brain to think about that as well as whatever you were already thinking about.
Right. Right.
And it's no shame, no foul. I mean, it's not your fault. It's just part of.
That was just
it's
where
part
we
of
was.
the disease.
Yeah, that's just where we were. And I mean, anytime you start dealing with the brain, it's it's a different ball game. And from what you saw was different than living it.
Right.
And living it, was just a day to day. Hey, I'm up and I'm moving, and that's it. And looking back now, I'm like, there was days where coming down the stairs was about all I could handle.
It's kind of like, and I just thought of this right now, like our experience and my experience and your experience and the kids' experiences and the people who helped me. It's kind of like watching a movie.
Yeah.
Like you see what got put on the screen, but you didn't see all the craziness that had to happen behind the scenes to get that scene ready.
Yep.
So in this scenario, you are the scene.
Yep.
You were doing the movement. But to make the movement happen, to make that scene happen, it was all kinds of hands in all other facets of our lives trying to make the other stuff happen that you were completely immune to. Part of that on purpose. You know, because I looked at it, and I still look at it this way, and I think it still frustrates you. And now that you're getting better, I'm trying to release some of those reins over to you slowly. Um, is that
Because I still get it. I'm still easily overwhelmed.
right?
And when I get overwhelmed, the brain kicks into, oh my gosh, almost like an anxiety attack, but not where you're breathing heavy or anything like that. It's just your mind goes into overload and then shuts down.
Right. Well,
And like you get spacey because you're like, I
well,
don't know.
and we've always been told, and this is one of those things that anytime you're stressed, overwhelmed, sick, all of those symptoms you had when the brain tumor was there, they can all come back,
Yes.
and you can present that same way for many days, and
Until the anxiety
until it
subsides.
kind of wears out. And our rule is if it lasts more than a week, I have to call the doctor. Um, but like I said, I've kept so much of the stressors of all of this away that I tried to do with it myself, and it wasn't always the best. But I didn't know how else to shield you from yet another kind of shitty plot line.
Yeah.
Like you were in one fighting because, like we said, the the initial prognosis without treatment is he would have been gone a year ago.
Yes.
So if we didn't do anything, it is 4 to 6 months. That is the prognosis. So you already had a really crappy hand dealt to you. You couldn't understand even the basics of life. Like little things would frustrate you because you couldn't figure out how to make that work anymore, or to do this, or to focus on this, and how to do all the stuff.
It got to where my I was used to being on my feet and moving all the time, and it got to where like the first time I went to make biscuits with kids
Right,
because
we talked about this.
I said, hey, I've got this time. I've always wanted to learn how to do it. Let's do it. Start out with a simple 2 ingredient biscuits, and I couldn't put it all together. I had everything out. I had everything measured. Dump it in a bowl. Couldn't do it.
Right.
Looked at the bowl. Looked at the ingredients. Something's supposed to happen, but what?
So
And the only thing that I could do, like start to finish, it was cooking bacon in my great grandma's pearl skillet.
right.
And I say great grandma pearl skillet is an awesome cast iron skillet that my aunt found in the barn, and this is probably from 1870s.
Something is your favorite skillet.
And my aunt found it in the barn and gave it to me to clean up, and then as I was going to give it back to her, she said, "No, it's yours," and blew me away. So I've got a 120-year-old skillet that I was cooking bacon in, and that was I could do that task front to beginning to end, and I saved my bacon grease, and I strained it, and I could keep it and clean up the skillet really good, and that was a simple enough task that made me feel like I was still alive and still able to do anything.
Right.
And the that little, I mean, it's just something simple, but we're talking. I had 3 traumatic brain injuries at one time that you didn't know if you didn't pee the bed.
Right.
Like you were. That was seriously one of my goals was to wake up in the morning and not pee the bed.
And I'm always grateful you didn't.
And you're getting tired of hearing it, but that was, I mean, Dad, what are you doing today? Well, I'm gonna try to wake up from a nap, and I'm gonna try not to pee my pants.
So,
So,
in all of this, going back to what I was saying, I didn't feel like it was the right place to say, hey, while you're already down and out, let me tell you all of the fight I'm having with the insurance.
yep.
Let me tell you all the fight I'm having with this. Let me tell you all the fight I'm having with this. Let me tell you the headache that this is. Let me tell you how hard it is to make all these appointments and schedule the kids and schedule my work and make sure somebody's here with you. And let me tell you this and this and this. So I didn't tell you all of it. And
And
then
because when you started to,
it would frustrate you.
because I wasn't able to help or
And
comprehend
and you felt responsible.
the nuisance.
And we always had to have that conversation. I'm not mad at you. But and you're like, well, why are you so on edge? Well, I'm on edge because I spent 4 hours dealing with insurance and nothing's settled yet. Well, what do you want me to do? Nothing.
Well, there's nothing that I could have done.
But it was a really hard thing for you to say.
But
You would try to apologize or try to make it better or and there was nothing you could do.
and being that I have a history of depression, that added to, I'm the one causing all this headache. The reason why you're frustrated and ticked off is because of me, when really at this point I was just out of it. So my depression was actually the best it's been in decades.
Probably.
Because I had no clue what was going on.
But it was a hard line to toe to say, what all do I tell him? And what all don't I tell him? Because he's getting mad if I don't tell him, and he's getting mad if I do tell him, and he's getting mad if I handle it, and he's getting mad if I don't handle it. He's getting mad, and it wasn't that you were mad at me.
No, it's just I could feel.
You were mad at that situation and the pressure that we had under us.
You could feel the tension in the air.
Yeah.
So like if I came downstairs after my nap at noon, and I came down the stairs and I could feel that tension, I was like, I'm going back to bed.
Right.
I don't even want to be around this.
I didn't really have the heart in the beginning, especially to say, well, it's because I've cried on the phone to 4 different insurance agencies because I'm having a really hard time with this. Okay, here's your prognosis. And, we've talked about how we had support with dealing with all of this, but when we were going through all the insurance stuff, that was me.
Yeah.
There wasn't anybody sitting with the table going, okay, this call's getting too much, let me try. It was, I was making the phone calls or it wasn't happening. I know there were times I called my sister and I'm trying to think, it was for one of our kids' birthdays. It was our middle daughter's birthday, the 1st March. And I said, I need you to order the cake. I can't talk to another person.
Yep.
And she did. She ordered it. She took care of it. She told me just to go pick it up. They already paid for it. But nobody was sitting here to help me or to help me figure out who to call and where to call to get the information. It was a lot of, you need to get this done, and this done. And so, if anybody is going out and you don't know how to help someone, sit with them while they're trying to figure out this paperwork. Just sit with them. Because maybe they just need a fresh set of eyes. Maybe they just need someone to pass the phone over to be like, hey, I need you to talk to so and so because I can't talk to you, Mr. Insurance Guy, anymore. Or I can't talk to you, pharmacy, anymore because I'm losing it on this side of the phone.
And that was one thing that we didn't stress enough, that we needed help.
Well, and
because we didn't know how. We weren't like, we were staying afloat, and day to day with the calls that she had to make and her job, and so we were emotionally staying afloat. Well, she was. I was zombie, but there, my dad had came in for a while, but he wasn't handling any financials or any of the insurance stuff or anything like that. He was there just to kind of make sure that,
He was to keep an eye on you so that I could get stuff done.
yeah, yep, and to make sure the kids got where they needed to
Hmm.
be and whatnot. Um, so the the interaction, and still because it was, we were still in, the COVID time. People weren't coming by and hanging out. They were dropping stuff off at the door,
Well, and
knock
part
and
of
leave.
that was I was really strict.
So
I'm like, if you're at all sick, don't come to my door.
with the pollen count, that's, because here in the South, once it hits springtime, your car's covered in pollen. It's a green dust all over everything.
And we're all sick, and we're all
So
sneezing and coughing, and
anybody sneezing, and you're like, oh, oh, oh. So
no, because I thought we had enough on our plate. The last thing you needed was to get sick.
yep. So that made it more isolating.
Yeah.
Um, it was great that people checked in, and we've talked how some people check in just to check in, to say they checked in.
Hmm.
Some people check in to really
Check in.
check in.
Yeah. And now, now that we have gone through it this far, I'm not going to lie. Today I had to deal with insurance yet again, a different insurance. And I actually texted my sister and I said, "You want to make this call for me? Because I just don't have anything left to do." I just, and it's not because I've been dealing with it for weeks after weeks after weeks. I mean, we kind of have, trying to get some information and figure out how to get the information and blah, blah, blah. But I did want to make the call because I'm done making the call.
Yep.
So I found out what
But the
I could
calls
do.
aren't done.
They're not done with
needing
us.
aren't needing to be made.
So this time I know the information and I gave it to you. So that's on your list to try to handle. And if you look on the back of that paper, I wrote down the questions that you need to ask them. Um, so all you have to do is read it and get the answers. But I think, now if we had to go through it again, which, as we know, is always a possibility,
Yep.
and it's more likely than not that we will, I don't think I'm going to be so shy and say, I got this, because I don't think I do. I think it's going to be calling those people who I really trust to say, I need your help to do all of this because I don't have it emotionally to do right now.
Yep.
And just trusting that they will help me get the information done that I need to get done. I think it was just, I've said now that we're out of it a little bit, and there was, well, it was right before Christmas or right around Christmas. I told you I am so tired.
Hmm.
I'm just so tired. And I said,
Just emotionally.
I think we had just been on, I had been on fight or flight for 15 months. And I'm still there because I'm that first line. And I don't mind being the first line. I will always be your first line. But I'm the one who watches you every day, and if you're moving funny, I note it. If you say you have a headache, I note it. If you say you don't feel good today, I note that. And then I check it the next day, and I check it the next day, and I check it the next day. Because this thing snuck up on us and we didn't expect it.
Right.
So I don't want to assume your legs are because you walked too much today, or your headache is, it's sinus.
I do believe a lot of my knee pain is inflammation, but it's also because I've been walking, doing all my walking in Crocs
Right.
on majority of the days.
And I think that's probably it.
When I went to the flea markets and we did the majority of the walkings, um, I wore tennis shoes and I felt pretty good the next day.
Right.
Today I was out walking a bit in my Crocs, and my legs feel it, my knees feel it.
So I
So
mean that's good. That's good and powerful
good
kind of
awareness.
research.
Yep.
However, I'm on this side of it going, okay, we're 8 weeks out.
Yep.
The knees hurt. Is something coming? Should I
Yep.
prepare for something coming? And that's really how I go through every day.
Which I was on this podcast I was on for YouTube. One of the guys is a bladder cancer survivor, and because he had, what did he say, 8 surgeries and had 18 tumors removed, and it took him 14 years to finally be non-detected.
Right.
Um, so talking with him, and he's a type 2 diabetic as well, and he's he's older. He could be my dad, but because we have these things in common, we really hit it off on YouTube and talking and whatever. And I completely forgot what I was saying.
I don't know. That's not shocking. And so as you listen to this, you'll hear that Lee forgets things. He'll repeat himself. Um, that's all part of it. That's all part of the new way his brain works, the new way he processes, the new way that.
I got stuck on one guy's wife's name, and I know it. Paige. Her name's Paige, but I wanted to call her Peggy, and I knew that wasn't right, and I was like uh, and I do that a lot. I get hung up on words
Or you have to go back to the beginning to try to make it over
to
this
say it
section.
again
Yeah.
to try to figure out what the word is. And that's, I think it's not as, it doesn't happen as often, but when it does happen, it happens.
The repeating happens a lot.
Okay.
So like you'll tell me something, like you told me something earlier today that you told me at least once, if not twice, over the weekend. But you didn't remember that you told me over the weekend.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, okay, well, keep talking because on one side of it, I can look at you sometimes like, okay, come on, keep
Yeah.
going, spit it out.
So Cub will do that. She'll look at me and she's like giving me the big eyes, like, and slowly shaking her head, like, uh-huh. You told me this 2 hours ago, and I was like, oh, I forgot that we even talked.
Right. And so again, I I added up and I put it in that memory bank. So if we find that things are happening more and more and more and more, I make that call earlier than what we anticipate.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for me, I'm still I'm still like oh gosh, like any movie reviewer watching that movie over again and making new comments. I'm still that person who's noticing everything because I don't want to miss it again. I don't want it to get so far that we miss it
Yeah.
because we didn't even know we were missing it before until it was so obvious that something was really, really wrong. We didn't know what was wrong. I mean, I remember how you started taking naps the beginning of that year, at the beginning of 2021, and you were always so tired and you had no energy and you lost your excitement for things.
The hard part was,
And I thought you were being lazy
yeah,
because every test they did came back fine.
the I think the moment that looking back that bothers me the most, and that was a realization that, oh shit, something's going on, is when we went back to Ohio for the 4th of July party, and I looked at my cousin's daughter, and blank face, and I mean we made eye contact. I mean, and I didn't recognize her,
Right.
not at all. And then I talked to somebody else for about a half an hour, and then she's like, "Hey, are you gonna say hi to me?" And I was like, hey, how are you doing? Like this first time I saw her, and I know it's set weird because I remember the look on her face, but I don't. It didn't click who she was,
Right.
and
Right.
that that is something that I was like, okay, now is this because of concussions that I don't remember having? Because I was a
Well,
little
and
rough.
well, and
I was rough in my youth.
when you kept telling me you think it's concussions, I'm like, you haven't had a concussion since I've known you.
That I
So
remember.
so these concussions would have been 20 years ago with no signs prior, and automatically like boom.
And this was
Now it
also the
this
time
is the
when
time that football became really big. So
where the NFL was going back and
mhm.
saying all these concussion protocols and this and that. So I said,
Oh, maybe that's
you
what's
know,
wrong with me.
there's been numerous times in my youth where I knocked myself out that maybe it's a latent concussion because they're talking about how all this concussions and stuff for football players started when they were young. So I was like, well, maybe it's that. Then
And then it was a sinus headache, and then
then it
the
just went,
reality hit that no, dumbass, you got a brain tumor.
and it didn't. When I was telling the guys this today that when it come up that uh, that I had cancer, and I was like, well, it's in my arm, so at least it's not my brain. Okay, that's fine. We can deal with this. At least it's not my brain, because we knew a guy who had cancer in the brain, and he was not the same.
Right.
And that bothered me because I didn't want to be like that. And that sounded wrong.
That sounds just mean, but
Well,
you
so
didn't want to go through that. You didn't want your family to watch that. You didn't want
yeah,
to have that complete change of personality kind of thing.
yeah. I mean, it was a 90 degrees from where he was.
Right.
I mean, completely left field and half the person he was, and as far as mobility and what he was able to do and physically do and stuff like that. So that part was like, at least it's not my brain. I'm good. And then when that little ER guy says, "Hey, it's a ping pong ball size in your brain," I just looked at the wife and I said, "Oh shit, damn it," and that's it.
Yep.
And fortunately, it's went the way that it has, and I've just got a little brain skippage, and I'm getting back to doing what I'm somewhat of what I used to do.
Well, I always said it can. The surgery I'm hoping went well. At the beginning, I'm glad it went well, and I'm still glad it went well. But at the beginning, I was like, okay, just leave me something to work with. That's what I just, and everybody thought I was weird, but I'm like, leave me with something to work with. Because I could take, if you lost mobility, I can do that. I would figure that out.
I
And,
didn't want to be a vegetable,
and I had that training. I
and
could help you with that. I could help you with memory issues. One of my best friends, that's her scope of practice. So, if we just had to deal with your memory, I knew I would find, I have the right people
right.
in our corner that I could call a few favors.
And my big
Um,
thing was I just didn't want to be a vegetable,
well, and I
and
promised you I wouldn't
my
let you be.
my quality of life, you know, not only for me selfishly, but for the wife and kids. I mean, our kids are almost 18, 19, 25.
Yeah.
So they're still young. They got a lot to look forward to, and I wanted to be there as much as I could, and so that was probably the biggest thing was at least it's not my brain. And then cancer said, "F you, buddy," and it's in my brain. So the question came up at our little church group. What are you afraid of? And everybody was kind of naming off the things that they're afraid of, and a lot of it's normal stuff that you would think of. And they got to me, and I said, I'm not afraid of anything now. I looked death right in the face, not for the first time, but probably the seventh. And this time it was real. Like we're really, you're one heartbeat away, and nothing. Now there's nothing really to fear.
And see, for me, my fear is that we're gonna have to do it again.
Yeah.
That's my fear, is that we're gonna have to do it again.
And
And
what, and then it comes up is, I think you asked me was, if you had it to do all over again. Because I know Cub asked me this. If you would have to do it all over again, or do it without, could you go back and prefer life without cancer, or where you're at now?
okay,
I think that's the way she put it. And I was like, where I'm at now, even with all the complications with the cancer, it's done so much for us as a family, as people, that I would go through it all again to get to where we're at now.
yeah, I think that yeah, there's been a lot of really dark and nasty and scary crap, but we've also learned a lot about overcoming things. We've learned a lot about our strengths. We've learned about our weaknesses. We've learned and reminded the kids and each other about the importance of the five of us.
Hmm.
Um, and when we moved here, it was just the five of us. We didn't know a soul.
And we tried to handle everything ourselves,
Yeah,
whether it was the the, the kids in high school and junior high trying to deal with relationships, they would deal with that themselves. And that made it harder on them because they didn't know how to ask for help.
right.
They didn't know how to come to us because we weren't open.
I was
And
open. Nobody liked me being open.
well, yeah, because the way mom talks is more um, parental advice, and the way she would handle things, where mine is more cut the crap, and if somebody really gets to you, just give them the bird and go on.
Right. And as we've talked, I have, of course, a feminine side, and I try to relate to how the girls are thinking, and you are just like crass and hard,
I ain't got
and
time for that.
you don't relate to how girls think and how that's different
Nope.
than boys.
Nope.
So you're
And
getting a little better with it, slightly
and
sometimes.
and part of that's this relearning, because when I've had other issues, they were the ones that were with me, and the girls were the ones who were kind of my, dare I say, entertainment, quality entertainment, while you were stressing. Because while you were stressing, you were not any fun to be around.
Well, I understand that.
And so they brought the happy energy, and they would laugh, and they would, hey Dad, let's go do this, or hey, let's do that, and we wouldn't have to go anywhere. We just sit and watch some stupid show, and but they would spend quality time with me, that you didn't, because you were stressed, and then you started school, and
Well,
preparing for the worst, which was what we talked about and what needed to happen.
right,
But so our relationship had really blossomed, me and the girls,
right,
and it was important for them to see me that way.
And I think it was important for you to be that way
Yes, and
with them.
to be that, hey, yeah, I'm going through this, but I've still got time for you.
Well, and if you know that this is your last hurrah, there's no way on earth that
Yep.
you would have wanted them to only have memories of you being sick.
Yeah, and I
So you
didn't,
wanted all the memories of laughter and watching a movie and
and it was
the goofiness of it all.
it was hard. Like a couple weeks ago when we went shopping with Cub, I didn't want to go. I don't want to watch them try on prom dresses. I don't know. No.
Or jeans,
But
or look at shoes, or
taking a teenager shopping, period. No. Taking her to the grocery store is bad enough. But clothes shopping? Oh. But I went. I did my dadly duty, and I said, you know what? If I don't wake up tomorrow, she's going to remember that Dad did not like shopping and refused to go watch me try on prom dresses. And that is not the what I want as a lasting memory.
right.
I'm trying to put more good memories in to push out all the bad. And my grandma laughs at me all the time when I say that. She's like, "You think there's enough bad ones out there?" And I said, "Oh yeah, yeah, there's
Yeah, I
quite a
think I
few."
ripped those up, but
But I'm trying to push more good memories in there, and even if I gotta suck up and do stuff I don't want to do, but it's not for me what I'm doing. Does that make sense?
it is. But part of it though, and I hope you come to this realization is it is for you in the sense of they asked you to spend time with them.
Yes.
So that no, the clothes shopping is never going to matter. And while I can remember, vivid memory, um, like I came home last year. I went to the Goodwill for no good reason. I don't like the Goodwill. I don't like the thrift shop. I don't like it. It. I just feel dirty. I feel gross. Anyway, I went and I was looking through these dresses and I hit, oh my gosh, I found it. I found it. I found it. And I bought this dress and I brought it home and I showed it to you and I said, do you know what this is? And you're like, a black dress? I'm like, no, this is the exact same dress that our older daughter graduated high school in. It was her graduation dress, and I found it. It fits our middle daughter. How funny is that? And he's like, oh, okay. Like, you wouldn't have known.
Nah.
You didn't know what color they even wore to their graduations.
No.
So the actual dress is never going to matter to you. Where I can look at all the dresses in the hallway in the closet and say, oh, this one wore this at this dance and this wore because I'm a mom and that's kind of our brain power. We remember things like that. Remember trivial kind of little details. But I hope that from the prom dress shopping with you, it was more that she wanted me to come.
Yeah. Yeah. She had tried to bargain
She
with
did.
with
She tried to bribe you.
yep, with going to the Lodge cast iron store over in Concord. Now the downside for me was we were in South Charlotte and I didn't want to drive all the way over to
Okay. When he says I drove. So
yeah.
he didn't even have to drive.
Yeah, I'm still having issues driving distance like on the highway if it's congested, I'm having trouble. Even in town, and I'm finding light sensitivity at night is getting worse. Um, meaning like if I'm on a busy road and at nighttime, the headlights bother me so bad that I've almost got to close my eyes when they go by.
Which is not the way we should drive a car.
No, no, and so I started uh, wearing these yellow safety glasses that are good for night driving because they help dim the headlights so they're not so bright. And I've been wearing those last I don't know what 4 days,
Yeah.
4 or 5 evenings, and the few times I've been out after dark, it's definitely helped. Um, definitely helped there. But that's something that I haven't had a problems driving at night since
Well, and that I think was
early
another
20s.
big change. So along with all these other changes, I not only went from the person who dealt with paying the bills or that kind of stuff. I was doing all of the finances and all of the phone calls and all of the kids' appointments and all of your appointments and all of the scheduling and and all of the driving.
Yeah.
If we drove anywhere, I went. If we needed something from the store, I went. If we needed to go out of town, I drove. Which I don't like driving per se.
You'd
Um,
rather be sleeping.
I'm the person who that feeling in the car is so comforting to me that even to drive across town, I've been known, I just sit there and I'm like, I'm not sleeping, but this is so relaxing. And I'll talk to you, like before this all happened, you would just drive 20 minutes across town and I would just sit there and almost melt in my seat and be so relaxed by the time we got out of the car because I enjoy a car ride. But now I have to drive it all. So that kind of changed. I mean, yes, I get all the bathroom breaks I could want, and I don't have to go in your time frame. But that was another thing that just, huh,
Yep.
it took me on, and I will do it 100 times over if it means I get to keep you here.
Yep.
Like
It's just
none
another.
of it is something I would say, well, gosh, this is too much. I'd rather this. No, no, I'll take all of it, and I'll do it for the next 40 years to keep you here.
Well,
But
hopefully I'm driving them within 40 years.
well, I hope.
Uh, I've been trying. Um, and there's days where I'm like, I'll couple drive to school, and then after she gets out of the car, I drive to wherever I'm going to go walking, and then I come back and pick her up. And some days she'll drive home, some days I'll drive home, but it's like just across town. So
Well, you're gonna lose your chauffeur soon.
I know.
She's ready,
Yep.
and
We
you gotta
gotta.
let her be ready.
So we're working on getting her license. Um, we're still parallel parking and maneuverability are the two big obstacles in our way.
And she can parallel park. Have you taken her?
She is okay at parallel parking.
Did you take her in the
So
city? Did you make her do it somewhere, or did you
no,
do it at the school where they have the
no,
barricade?
she's like, I need to work on that. I said, okay.
Because I've taken her, I think 3 times, and she whips it right in.
So
She knows how she has to do it.
so in selfishly, I just came to this realization the other day that I kind of keep putting her off on getting her license and working on this certain things because I enjoy that quality time with her. And that also gives me a reason to get out of the house. And then I go to like the thrift stores or to Walmart or to Publix, the grocery store, and I walk just about every aisle just to walk. And I might not buy anything, and I might buy just a soda, or whatever, but I just do it to walk. And yeah, I'm already out of the house, so let's go do that. So then it's not like trying to,
Make
uh,
a plan
yeah,
and go out. Yeah.
yeah,
You know what I just thought of? And the kids and I laughed, and I don't know if you knew how funny we thought it was. Is initially when we took you to the store, like you've always been a wanderer in the store. It's like we turn around and you are gone, and then we spend more time finding you than anything else. Like we're done shopping and we're still looking for you, and that's always been your thing. That's not new with cancer. But the first few times we took you and you were feeling better, if you did that, we were like, oh crap, we've lost dad. and
Yeah.
he doesn't know which way's up.
And I'm moving like a 90-year-old man with pushing a shopping cart. So, I'm taking half steps, and I would just go, oh, I need,
There's something over there that caught my eye, and
well,
you would be gone.
I'd say, oh, I need sausage because I want to make this. And I go look at sausage, and then they're like, okay, well, Dad, we're gonna go right here. Okay, I'll be there. Well, then they turn around, and I might be in the cereal aisle. Why
And
am
then
I in the
he's
cereal
gone.
aisle?
So it
I'm just
became,
walking.
I remember going, oh my gosh, guys, where's your dad? And the girls would split up to try to go find you. And we'd call each other and be like, I got him. He's good. And we'd text back
Yeah,
and forth, do you see him?
because if
Because,
like your grocery store is laid out, right? The milk's always in the very back. Well, if I'm over by there looking for like cottage cheese, then I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I might need mayonnaise for chicken salad. So then I'd go backtrack over to there. Well, I just left them in the dairy aisle looking at eggs.
we just turn around and he'd be
And
gone.
then so I'm all over the place because I didn't write things down. I didn't have a plan. I just went and said, what am I hungry for? What do I feel like making?
So I remember laughing with them, going, okay, we need to put like a tracker on dad where we need to, like, okay, here's your red balloon, tie it to your wrist with a
Okay.
long string just so we could find you, because our worst fear was you would get lost in the store and then you'd get nervous because you didn't know why you were lost,
Yeah.
and because your brain was a little scrambled, could you pull it together to be like, oh hey, I have a phone in my pocket, I should just call my wife and say, where are you?
Yeah. If
Yes.
I could turn it
Where
off.
would you keep just walking? I mean, you could always work your phone, but
Well, it was funny because
would the thought process be, I should call my wife?
when I went to the store with my cousin, and the
Oh,
girls told him, "Hey, you've got to watch because this guy disappears." And he's like, "We're gonna be fine. We're going in. I don't know what we
so
were getting. We were getting stuff
we're like, don't lose him.
we were getting stuff for a low country boil."
And at this point, you were feeling better,
Yeah,
but you
I
still
was
weren't out
still.
on your own by yourself.
Yeah,
We were still glued to you.
yeah. So we go in and we're looking at something, looking at the shrimp, and I'm like, "Oh, I need this." So I go get the other stuff. Like we were looking for Old Bay and I think some sort of mustard. I don't know. I don't remember. But I went to get that. He goes, I turned around and he's gone. Not a sign. He goes, and he didn't move very fast. So, and
And
he,
I remember they got back to the house and they were like, what the hell took y'all so long? And he's like, I lost him. I'm like, I told you not to lose him. He said, I was getting something and I turned around and he was just gone.
and by the
And I
time he
couldn't
found me,
find him.
I had everything else on the list but one thing. It was horseradish was what we were getting. I don't know why, but
But it was just so funny that he's like, I'm like, I warned you. I told you not to lose him. And he was like, oh my gosh, I didn't think you were that serious. He goes, we had everything in the cart basically, but then I lost Lee and I couldn't find him and I couldn't come back without him. And I'm like, that's one of those little sidekicks. And there are still days that I'm not gonna lie. If you're gone longer than what you think you're gonna be gone, I'm like, where the hell did he go? Is he okay? Did he get lost? Because you did it the other day. Oh, I don't want to go here. Why am I turning here?
yeah,
And like, we all have Life 360 on our phone, and I'm like, I should really put it on your phone just to notify me kind of where you are in case you're gone too long.
does it get within 10 feet?
Um,
So you can say he's upstairs, he's outside,
well,
he's in the John.
listen, you know that you make me nervous when you leave sometimes.
Yeah.
So I figure maybe I make the other kids be on it. Maybe I should just make you be on it too. Maybe I should just put it on your phone and you might not ever know.
I don't know.
Because it would just tell me.
I mean, I don't really go anywhere, so
No, not typically. But that'll probably happen if you start venturing out more on your own.
yep.
Especially now that I'm like in the office and I only see you every few hours, so I wouldn't know if you were missing. They'd be like, "When did you see him last?" I'd be like, last night. Like when I went to bed, he was there. When I woke up, he was there. I don't know.
yep.
Fun things to come, I guess.
But we've been a little more adventurous with the like spicy stuff since all this happened.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
funny segue, Lee.
I know.
You have it just goes from nowhere.
I
Welcome
know.
to my world, everyone.
Well,
Welcome.
so
He's been thinking about this spice thing probably for 20 minutes.
no, it's been a while because I had noticed some guys who the guys I was talking with earlier today they're doing keto and they're pretty not strict but they're you know
More strict than us.
whole foods that kind of stuff and I've noticed that they've commented how their spouses don't like spicy food but they're able to tolerate more with eating this way.
Okay.
So my question to them was, is there a correlation between your heat tolerance level in keto? Because I noticed it that we did the hot ones challenge with a group of family, and
We were idiots. We've done it totally like three different times.
well we did so they got season 19.
And we did that one twice.
We did that one twice, 2 days back to back. The second day was much worse than the
Oh,
first
the
day.
second day was bad. We all
But
felt it was worse.
but what we found is there was quite a few good ones. Not that they were burn your face off and you feel like a melting candle,
No,
or
but
that
we did eat those as well.
yes, or that all of them were spit and fire. I mean there was a couple that were smoking hot
I think I could have light a couple candles with my breath
and I'll tell you anybody that can do the bomb,
and
which
like
is
it
like number 8,
and like it.
and not cry.
Then you are much stronger
Yeah,
than us.
that was like licking a hot tire on the Alabama asphalt. Ugh.
I think I would have preferred that.
Oh, this was terrible. But anyway, so then we get season 20, and we did, or the same group, family group got season 20, and we did that, and we didn't like it. But when you're looking at our spice level is black pepper and some jalapenos.
I love black pepper.
But you get some jalapenos, and some are spicy, some are not. And to be able to do Scotch bonnet sauce, you're like, wow, this isn't so bad. Your pain tolerance seemed to be your heat tolerance was better. And I don't know if there's a correlation between that.
I don't know.
But it's just a random thought that comes to my head, and then because I don't have anybody to ask on a daily basis, because by the time you come down, you're like, hey, blah, 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 blah. Then I'm like, you just vomited a whole bunch of words, and I can't keep up with you, and now I can't tell you what I wanted to ask.
Maybe you should start writing it down.
And that's what Tom told me. He said, hey, write it down. I said, I do. And then guess what? I can't find my paper.
You have a phone. It's normally in your hands. You
Ours,
can make a note.
I know, but I don't. I write it down. That way, I just write it on paper. I don't know why.
Okay.
And then I
You
always
know what?
forget the paper.
I've decided. I know what I need to do now. Are you ready? Are you ready?
Uh-oh.
So,
Well, that was a good show.
my dad used to keep one of those really small notebooks in his pocket for notes.
That's what's beside my chair
I know.
and in the garage.
Nope. We need to keep it on your body, on your person,
Oh, yeah.
in a pocket, in a something.
Yep, yep.
Do I need to get you a man purse to hold your crap?
No.
Do you need
I don't understand that because then I mean I understand the whole fanny pack.
That's the next thing. Do you want a fanny pack?
No, no,
I'll get you a
no,
manly one. I'll get you a black one.
no. Now if I needed it for like treatments, then it'd be different.
Well, given that you can't remember things and you lose your phone every day and you lose your
Yeah.
note every day,
But if I
maybe this would be helpful. Please let me get you a fanny pack.
no, no, no fanny packs. No.
Do you want me to make you a little pack that goes like you can wear it on your chest, like around your neck, underneath your shirt, so nobody knows? It can be like your little satchel. Would you like a personal satchel to carry your shit?
No.
All right. Well, I asked. So next time when Lee's complaining that he's lost everything, please remind him that I've offered to make him a satchel, buy him a fanny pack, or a man purse, and all of which he has told me no. I'm trying to help you with your problems.
Yeah, but remember, you have to walk with me while we're in public.
I don't care. I'll wear a shirt that says
because
he had a brain tumor.
because she does tend to walk 5 feet ahead of me, or
That's because I'm a fast walker.
or the aisle behind me.
That's because I'm a fast walker and
So
you like lollygag.
if we're at the aisle at the front of the store, she's at the back of the aisle by the meat department.
I'm
She's
never
like,
by the meat department. Let's be clear.
no, I mean that the other end of the aisle. Oh,
I just always wear a shirt that says
That's
he has a
why-
brain tumor with an arrow.
that's why you always quote lose me, is because y'all don't want to be seen walking with me. I got it.
Yeah, so why do I really care if you wear a fanny pack? Crap.
Right, because the only time you're going to be around me is when they see you getting in the car that I just got into,
Right?
or that you get to the car first. No, you usually have to be the one to pay the bill because that
It makes you nervous.
sometimes that sticker shock will throw me into a tizzy, and then I forget how to punch in my numbers for the PIN code. That's
The last time
happened so
the
much.
last time we're to Sam's, and this is my secret, and wives, you can use the secret anytime you want. I say don't say the total out loud. I can see it.
Yeah,
Don't say the total out loud. I can see it.
the cashiers laugh because I'm like, don't say it because then it makes it real. If we see it,
And they look at me. I'm like, no, seriously, just don't say it. I'll just pay it. Don't say it.
yeah,
Don't say the numbers out loud because he will have an anxiety attack right here in the store. It's really not worth it.
and there's a lot of times I stand at the end by the, if we have the bagger, I'll stand there.
Or I'm like,
And it's all that mental health.
It is.
Mental health. Don't tell me what it is. I'll figure it out when I get home and
I say, okay, that's it. We're not going anywhere
Yeah.
else for the rest of the week.
you're good on gas. You don't need to stop nowhere. You know.
I've told you to walk away before. Just walk away.
Yep.
I need you to walk away because everything that we bought this day you needed. It was important to have.
Yep.
And I didn't want you worried about it. So I'm like, just walk away. And you're like, okay.
Because I mean, part of that mental stuff is like when you're trying to do what's best for you, especially eating wise, and eating healthy is expensive. I don't care what you say, it's expensive. And you know, everything's gone up nowadays, and it is just the sticker shock is enough to throw you somebody with a brain problem, throw you into a tizzy right there. And it's better to just be like, don't.
Walk away.
Yep.
Step back. Let me handle this.
And and I can tune out whenever they're talking about the bill. Nope, don't want to hear it. I'm done.
Mhm. Well,
Yep.
hey, we have to get off here because I have some things to finish up tonight.
Ooh. Okay.
But
Well, hopefully
I
this
mean, I think we rambled enough.
hopefully this was a good ramble. Um,
I mean,
you
this
know.
really is how our life is. It starts one way and it twists and turns and ropes around and snakes back, and
Um, yeah.
this is how we work now.
So I had wrote down fundraising, but we didn't do it.
I
I
know
mean,
we already said that.
we did, but well, it was done for us. We didn't actually do it. I don't know. It's I see a lot of. I saw one today. Lady had it was either a green or a teal ribbon on her shirt, and it had hashtag team whatever whatever I can't remember what the name was, but so there's a lot more cancer out there, a lot more people fighting.
You know,
Um,
I get to talk in my job now with people who need leaves and have medical problems. And I think in the last 2 weeks, I think I've talked to 6 people who are battling cancer or oncology offices or the spouse of somebody. And I always tell them, like, from one warrior family to another, we're thinking of you. And we hope that this all works out well. I've been like happy healing vibes. Um, because and they're like, oh, so you really do understand. I'm like, I really do understand. But I think it's one thing that, and this can sound really mean, and maybe it doesn't. Maybe I don't want to sound mean. Put it that way. Unless you have gone through cancer, you really don't understand it.
yeah,
You really don't. You can say, oh, my friend went through it, or somebody I went to school with went through it, but I really didn't. I know they had a hard time, but they're good now and everything's fine and it was easy.
and
Or
well, as the people we've known personally, everybody's different,
yeah,
and with our one friend who's right there behind me, she's got the same melanoma, but it's attacking differently,
right,
and her I don't want to say struggle, her fight is different than what mine was,
right.
and
So I just
I
think
kind
that
of
it changes it when you talk to another cancer fighter, a warrior, another caregiver, because we really get
yeah,
kind of those emotions and that feeling and that helplessness and that distraught
and
and that mental net like anguish.
from patient to patient is different than caregiver to patient,
Right.
loved one to patient. That's the mental headspace is completely different.
Hmm.
Like if she actually knew how out of it, like Venkit, uh,
Vacant.
yep, tumbleweeds was like empty ghost town, right? From Scooby Doo, the tumbleweeds flight rolling through the ghost town. That's what was on. That there was no lights on in the house
Right.
upstairs,
And
and
I said to you, if you saw me behaving the way you were, and you were the caregiver to me in the same situation, you would see, like, oh,
yeah. So to
this is what she meant.
so with this podcast, we've been able to express this, and it's been a therapy for us, and hopefully it's able to help somebody else get an idea. We've known too many that
Oh,
have had melanoma or another kind of cancer, and they had to go through chemo, and you know, chemo 5 years ago, 10 years ago,
It's
is
different
is
than what it is
different
now.
than what it is now,
Mhm.
but
It's still chemo.
it's still chemo, and it's still scary, and
Yeah.
it's still even.
Cancer is still cancer, and it's just as scary
Yep.
now as it was.
I mean, we talked to the one guy at the hospital when we had the fire evacuation. It was
Yeah.
somebody hit the alarm or whatever, and there was a guy out there. This was
I don't remember how many
fourth,
years. Yeah, something like that. Fourth, fifth
fourth, fourth
um,
time.
occurrence of
Yep.
fighting cancer.
So fourth time, two different types.
Well, and my sister
So.
fought cancer, and she was young. She was barely a teenager, but hers was really kind of treated with surgery and with
Hmm.
medicine. And so, and I asked her questions about it, like, and she's like, I don't remember. Like, I don't remember any part of any of that because I was 13.
Yeah.
And for me, it was like, here it is. This is what we're going to do. Okay. And it was done. No chemo, no, immunotherapy, no radiation, no anything.
Yeah. Back then, immunotherapy wasn't even around yet.
Right. But like, she didn't need it.
Yeah.
It wasn't going to be used. So, it's every cancer is different, but it's important, I think, to have a positive outlook, to have caregivers, to ask for help, to accept help, and it's also okay to be scared and resentful and to hate it and to hate what it's doing and making you change, and you can hate all of it, and it's okay. It's okay to feel like I hate this. And I've texted that many times to people to support me. I hate this.
Yep.
And I don't say I hate a lot of things. Like, I can say I hate beets,
Yeah.
but I don't use the word hate very often. But I hated this.
Yep. It completely turned everything upside down, and you know, this we're kind of talking headspace today. I mean, you're all over the place, um, minute to minute, different thoughts, left field to right field and back again. It was like playing pinball. I mean, and your mind's bouncing all over the place,
Hmm.
and
And I'm not going to lie, as
with
we get closer to your next appointment, my anxiety is doing this.
you know, I thought,
Mine's just going up and up. And we're 4 weeks out.
yeah, we're 4 weeks out, and where I'm thinking this one I'm not too worried about because it's still really close to the last round of treatment.
Right.
It's
The
the
next
one
one.
after that's got me going. Okay, now when you get to 6 to 9 months out from your last treatment, that's where I'm really, I don't want to say, I'm really respecting the my diabetes
Yeah.
because cancer loves sugar. So if my sugar's high, I'm feeding that and trying to, you know, so I'm really respecting the diabetes more so than what I have in the past 20 years.
Well, and I think it also gives you somewhere else to focus energy.
Yes.
So if you can focus energy on fighting diabetes, you don't have to use the energy to fight cancer.
And in a way, then it's fighting it in a different way.
Right. But
So
I don't know if you can see as I'm sitting here, I'm physically getting shaky as we're thinking about it.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
I feel shaky inside my body.
yep. It's and I'm not. I mean, I was thinking about it today, and I was like, I'm not as nervous or anxious about this one. I'm sure this one's going to be fine.
Yeah,
Not too worried about it.
I'm feeling like this 4 weeks out.
Yeah.
that I don't know what the week of.
But it's also because we've been talking for an hour.
Right.
Well, we talked about 2 hours because we were trying to talk about what we were going to talk about tonight.
We've been talking about it for a while,
Yeah.
and I feel like it's now my body's new way to feel it. Is I do feel shaky
Yep.
inside, but as we get closer, I'm sure that, and you know this, my mood is going to be like woo woo woo,
Yep.
and typically
It's
the night before your scans and the night before the appointment, I don't sleep well.
I got a feeling you're going to be wearing the FU cancer shirt a lot.
I think I
Um,
need to make a new slogan because I'm gonna need a sassy one for every day for 2 days at least that week.
yeah.
Um, but yeah,
That kind of became a
maybe you should
running.
look at it as being like, wow, she really loves me a lot to feel all icky about this.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's been hard truths, and hard realities that you don't think about. Um, you know, the hardest thing that you had to do was when your dad passed, and
Yeah,
that was tough.
that was tough.
And
That one shook me for quite a while.
then then we're looking at
Well, then my mom passed, not
yep,
a few
and
years ago.
then boom, right here,
Yeah,
another straw male figure in your life is knocked down.
yeah.
So that's hard. That's hard. So I like to think I'm a strong male figure in your life.
Well,
Only on Tuesdays. Anyway,
Anyway, I have stuff to do tonight.
yes. So, all right. Well, let's get out of here, and we will try to come up with something more interesting next week. Headspace is a good one. That was
Headspace, what? And Headspace changes so
it,
much. Our Headspace today is likely going to be different than our Headspace next week.
yes. Our headspace in an hour is going to be different.
Yeah, mine's going to be exhausted because I got to work out yet. That's where my Headspace is going to be.
Yep. So we're going to get out of here, and
Oh, sorry.
we're gonna continue to take one day at a time, one positive uh, at a time, and whatever negative, we're gonna turn into a positive
Somehow.
because that's how we get by. That's what being a warrior is. Is I mean, you're not only fighting for your life, but you're fighting for somebody else's too, or with somebody else. So,
Yeah.
all right, Mama, let's get out of here.
Yep, let's go.
So we'll talk to you guys all later, and